You stumble through your days, got your head hung low, your sky's a shade of gray, like a zombie in a maze. You're asleep inside, but you can shake awake, 'cause you're just a dead man walking, thinking that's your only option. But you can flip the switch and brighten up your darkest day. Sun is up and the color's blinding. Take a world and redefine it. Leave behind your narrow mind, you'll never be the same. Come alive, come alive. Go and light your light, let it burn so bright. Reaching up to the sky, and it's open wide. You're electrified. And the world becomes a fantasy, and you're more than you could ever be, 'cause you're dreaming with your eyes wide open. And we know we can't go back again to the world that we were living in, 'cause we're dreaming with our eyes wide open. So come alive. Come on, come on, come in, come on.
To anyone who's bursting with a dream,
Come on, you hear the call. To anyone who's searching for a way to break free. And the world becomes a fantasy, and you're more than you could ever be, 'cause you're dreaming with your eyes wide open. And we know we can't go back again to the world that we were living in, 'cause we're dreaming with our eyes wide open.
Hello, hello. I hope you could all hear that awesome song. That is one of my absolute favorites of all time. It gets me in the groove. So, yeah, I hope you had a little dance party before we started. Welcome, 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 everyone. It is so awesome to have you here. I know I just posted on LinkedIn this morning with a little bit of energy, and I had a whole bunch of people join last minute, so I am super pumped for this next hour. Thank you again for trusting me with an hour of your time. So I'd love to get in the chat. Give me there we go. Let me see if this is going to work. Should do. There we go. All right, so who do I have in the room? You can pop it in the chat. I do know that is open for the public, so you can put it in there. Where do you come from? Are you a growing founder? So Series B Ryan, I have him in mind, and I always think the person that needs it yesterday, right? So maybe you're not that person. You might work for that person thinking, oh, okay, so no one has 6 months to develop a program anymore. This person needs it yesterday. Or Scaling Cameron, very similar. The one who they have probably grown, and these are typically my clients that I work with. They, like, one of my clients 4x'd in about 6 weeks, another one 10 times its size in about 3 months. So I work with the Scaling Camerons of the world. Then we have Accidental Alex, who can relate. So the one who said yes, they came in, now they own onboarding and training. Very often that is someone in Scaling Cameron's organization, and they're figuring it out, trying to do everything, while also probably trying to keep the company afloat. Then we have Expert Elena, the reluctant trainer, or maybe they chose it. Here again, I support these teams. So accountants, marketers, nurses, or engineers, all the people who came from outside of learning and development. And they probably chose it because they loved developing people. They loved that element to the work. or strategic SAM. So that is the stuck brilliant one, right? You have a PhD and a 5-year plan, but suddenly you've been asked to make the name tags. So yeah, put it in the chat. Which one are you? Okay, Scaling Cameron, hello. A Series B Ryan, I love it. And then we have a Sam. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. And I know some of you can't, accidental Alex. Yes, lovely, lovely. Yeah. And I know because we're streaming to many different platforms that a couple of you, or depending where you're coming in from, you might not be able to join in the chat, but know that I love if you can to join in. All right, who else do we have? Probably strategic Sam, but no PhD. Yeah, that's totally fine. I always say these people are often super smart. Definitely. So same as Vanessa. Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, well, welcome. We have a nice mix, yeah. Okay, I'm wondering why this is not always moving forward. I plugged in my because I don't want to be distracted clicking slide to slide. All right, let me try and get this to work because it was working just before this. Let me promise you. Technology, right? I'm definitely the people. Let's say that. All right, next slide. No, that's not working. All right, well, we're gonna just probably have to, there we go. I did it. Yes, okay. Learning as we go. So the learning and development reckoning. This is the opening. Are you leading the function or just keeping the lights on? So this is not a presentation. This is a live diagnostic, right? We are not here for an AI tutorial, right? We don't need any more of that stuff. We are not here for a pep talk. I was saying that last week I challenged some thinking and I got virtual bananas thrown at me. So if you're here for a pep talk, I'm afraid I might not be your person. And we are definitely not here for another framework to file away. So this is a reckoning. It is really the moment that we stop pretending, and it's that thing that we might have been avoiding. So let me pause here for 1 second and introduce myself. So I am Candice Mitchell. I have spent 20 years in this learning and development field. I absolutely love it. I'm not going anywhere. I have built 7 learning and development functions from absolute scratch. And let me say, you will cringe if you know, like huge companies, 6,500 people, and they didn't even have a compliance module. Like, so when I say from scratch, I am saying from scratch. I led a modernization project of 76 learning and development practitioners across the African continent. That was so much fun. So I got to go in and see what everyone was doing and really streamline and modernize the entire function of that team of 76 people. Yeah, I had fun. That was very challenging, but that was really cool. So here's what you can expect, right? There are 3 parts to the session today. First, I'm going to show you why the moment matters, right? Because we need to step in it. We need to really embrace this moment in time. So I will show you why it matters. Second, we're going to jump into the diagnostic. So we're going to see where your function is operating right now. And third, I will show you what it takes to close that gap. Okay, so let's jump into it, these 3 sections. The world right now, it feels heavy, right? So before we even speak about learning and development, I want to talk to you about this world we're operating in, because it has literally never moved faster and it has never been more uncertain. I'm sure you can agree with me. You can put in the chat if you say yes to that. It feels unsettling, and things like geopolitical shifts nobody predicted, economic pressures just compressing every budget cycle, and even generational transitions, we rewiring the workforce, technology changing over and over. We can all talk about the elephants in the room, AI, at some point. And here's the part that you should stop for a second and think: this pace, this pace of change is not going to slow down. If anything, it's just compressing. It's going to move even faster, right? And here is the big reveal. In the middle of all of this is you, right? Like, you are the middle of the storm. You are in the one function whose entire job it is to help people keep up, embrace this change, be successful, right? I'm like literally getting goosebumps right now because that is you. You are it. So we can talk automation, this, AI, that, right? I'm going to skip the AI conversation for today because you already know. If you're here, if you're in the session, you already know that AI is absolutely not replacing you, right? Maybe it's replacing some tasks, sure, and we can get into that. But I bet that that's not even what keeps you up at night. What keeps you up at night is something very specific, and I'm going to get into that. So the world needs human capability more than ever before. So, why are you, the people responsible for building that capability, still fighting for your place? You are hired maybe to build a strategic a strategic plan, right? Make the people function matter, to change how the business works. And maybe this was 12 months ago, maybe 24 months ago. And what actually happened? On Monday, you started the work, you started building this capability strategy, but by 9:30, you were building some time management training. Oh, don't get me started on time management training. You may have built the proposal. It was probably a good one. Maybe you polished it, you presented it, and it got tabled, right? You kept the rejected proposal in a folder and you haven't read it since. And here's what you keep hearing. The CEO keeps saying it, the VP of sales keeps saying it, line managers say it. And here's the part that hurts is you might agree with them. You don't know how to fix it without exposing a gap that you're not ready to name. So the L&D team doesn't get the business we need to get away from as fast as we can. You are likely the loneliest person on the team, whether you're on the leadership team or just in the team, right? The CFO sees you as a cost center. And I read a very interesting article just this morning on that. I'll send it in a follow-up email after this session. The CEO sees you as the person that handles people problems. You're senior and you're smart, and you are completely alone in a room full of people who just don't understand what you do. And underneath all of it, you have this fear. There's a fear that you might not say out loud, but you have told me because I've spoken with a lot of people in the last 3 months, in the last 90 days or so. I've spoken with a ton of people. I've had so many conversations, and this is what you're telling me, that you are scared, right? You might have even started preparing the story that you'll tell yourself when this role ends, or when, and I believe that that makes you deeply sad. It definitely makes me sad because I don't think any of us deserve to be in this position. And look, if you if any of that resonated, if that was like, oh, Candace, how did you know? Right? You're literally not imagining it, and you're not overreacting. And very importantly, you're not alone, right? The reason it feels so real is because it is real, right? Your gut has been telling you this truth. But what I do want you to know, because, right, I am not here for doom and gloom, never. This is fixable, and that's what today is for. It is the start of this. So, yeah, we're going to go through specific structured, like it's a buildable fix, right? We can do steps to fix this situation we're in. Okay, because this is our moment. And I cannot tell you how much I believe that. Like, I cannot get it across a camera enough for you to feel that. But this is our moment. And let me tell you, let me show you some data to prove me right. Okay. So these are some of the conversations I've had over the last 90 days, right? I've been in this field for 10 years. Every budget cycle, I'm still defending my team's existence. Like, can we not? They asked me to prove ROI. I had nothing. That night, I couldn't sleep. I suggested we talk to the business leaders to understand the problem. They told me to just build the course. So I built the course, right? And again, you can pop in the chat if that resonates at all. Yeah, it is heartbreaking to have these. Yes, thank you, Vanessa. Absolutely. The third one could be you. And honestly, it's been me. It has been me. I've pushed back and pushed back, and they were like, and that's that time management training um, thing I spoke about right when we started, is like, don't get me started on time management training, because that was what I needed to build. And I was like, well, we have over 100% turnover. I can promise you time management is not going to solve this, right? So Vanessa, yeah, I'm right there with you. So here's the data that I want us to just know, absorb, and kind of build the story up, because that is definitely what I see. I think the data makes it so crystal clear. So this is the not so good one, but 7 out of 10 CEOs say that their people function lacks the capability to deliver on business strategy, right? We need to move forward from this. We cannot stay in this. And everyone here, I want you to be the 3 out of 10. Okay. Then on the other side, 1.6. Okay. So organizations taking a technology first approach to AI are 1.6 times more likely to fail. Okay, not succeed, fail. So the companies investing in human capabilities alongside the AI are outperforming the others. Translation, they need you. And here's what matters to your leaders. This is what your leaders are searching: talent, literally the top search term. Okay, again, they need you. This is our moment, right? Look at those core skills, and I love the WEF reports. I dig deep into them. I uncover them. If you're not on my mailing list, do so, because I kind of unpack it and make it a little bit more digestible. But look at that. So so these are the top 10: leadership, creative thinking, motivation and self-awareness, empathy and active listening, curiosity and lifelong learning, talent management, service orientation. 7 out of the 10 are human skills, not machine skills. Yes, AI is up there, of course. I mean, we can actually argue analytical thinking is also. Anyway, I didn't count that, but you know what I mean. Like, can you see? We are so needed. And then I'm going to tell you a quick story before we get to the diagnostic, because we can sit there like, okay, Candace, like, this is great. The data is there and the people are saying the things and blah, blah, blah. That's great. But I know this works. And I want to share with you how I am so certain about this. So here is my story. So I've been in this career long enough to know that it's not all rainbows and attendance sheets, right? I've seen both sides of this coin. I'm not naive to any of this and the hardships, right? And I still work in it every single day. So when this works, people grow, and even communities benefit, right? So I worked for a decade in an environment where learning and development, it just wasn't questioned, right? Like, I can't explain it. That seats at the table, obviously, like, where else would you be? We were brought into the beginning stages of the projects, like, duh, like, why not? Working side by side with business leaders to achieve the business goals. Like, of course, that was no brainer. Then I worked in another company where learning and development was the training department, right? I was called the learning and development lead, but it became very obvious very quickly. And one day, my manager asked me to put together a learning and development strategy. And I can't tell you, I was so excited. I was like, yes, finally, I get to work in my zone of genius. I love this stuff, right? So I spent about 6 weeks putting it all together. I got to know the business and the people and the business goals and what the gaps were. And I even did, and you could probably go see in my certifications on my LinkedIn, but I even did a LinkedIn course on how concrete is made, just so I could really understand the business, right? And then time came presenting to my manager. About 7 minutes into the presentation, she stopped me and she was like, Candice, where is the learning? Like the learning strategy, I think she said to me. And I kind of like paused and was very confused. And I thought, well, this whole thing that I'm showing you is the learning strategy. Probably didn't answer like that. It's probably a little bit more respectful, but I was like, this whole thing is the learning strategy. So a bit confused, but she allowed me to carry on. And kind of like another 4 minutes in, it wasn't long, she stopped me again and she was like, Candice, okay, this is great, but where is the learning, the sessions, the dates? Ah, the penny dropped. She was not asking me for a learning strategy. She wanted a training calendar. And those two things are vastly different, right? And that's why, like, again, Vanessa in the comments, I know what that feels like because when they're asking for training stuff and we're trying to step into that strategic partner, sometimes there's more challenges than just our own mindset and capability and things like that, right? And the impact was real. Okay, so maybe you're listening in and you're thinking, okay, well that's nice. Everyone would love to be in company A and not company B, but why does the business care? But I can promise you now, I lived it. I lived both of these sides. So in the one company, in the first company, they increased market share from 87% to 91%, right? That is millions, probably hundreds of millions. I don't know. I could go back, but so much, like millions in revenue. And in the first company, they had the lowest national average turnover in their sales function in the entire country. Okay, so these things matter to the bottom line. And I say this knowing learning and development didn't play all the role, right? It wasn't 100% because of learning and development, but we were a strategic part of the business. Like we were invested in, we had the budget, we were never questioned. They did see our value and they brought us in. Okay. Oh yeah, and I have it here in my notes, like thousands of people, like we drew in the top talent. Thousands of people would apply for our apprenticeships and our internships. In the second company, like no one knew what they were doing. I kid you not. Like it was so, I don't know, scattered. Maybe that's the word. And the disenchantment was actually palpable. Turnover sat at over 100% in the first 90 days. Over 100%. Like you can do math and know that that is like bleeding money on a daily basis. They couldn't attract talent, not higher wages, nothing, right? Word was out that this company, you do not matter as a person. So here's what I want you to think about. If the world is ready for us to lead, and the data is saying we need to lead, and the businesses are ready for you to lead, the only question left is, are we ready to lead? Right. And that was part one, why this moment matters. We're going to step into the diagnostic now. And this, again, is a mirror. Let me move forward. Okay. So, what does it take to lead this function? Not manage it and not maintain it, but actually lead step into the moment that people need. I'm going to walk you through 3 categories from the Talent Development Infinity Loop. It's a framework I built after 20 years in this work. And I built this framework that answers that question, what it takes to lead this function. And I called it the Talent Development Infinity Loop. And I actually love that, how it worked out, because learning is nonstop. And so the infinity loop kind of matches in with that. So I thought, oh, this is working out pretty well. Yeah, so today we're not using it as theory, we're going to use it as a mirror. But for us to do that, I want to take you through it first. So here it is. There's basically the 2 halves and a center. The strategy on the one side and tactics on the other. Team in the middle, because everything on this loop lives or dies with the capability of the people holding it together. And again, that is you. All right, so how this section works, there's going to be the 3 categories, 7 elements, and you're going to rate yourself 1 to 5 on each of these. Be honest, no one is going to see your answers. Yeah, so, and we're only going to answer 1 question, but after this, I'm going to send you an email with a full live interactive diagnostic. It is so cool. I got one of my team to help me put it together. Yeah, it is super cool. So you'll see all the tabs at top and all your scores, and you'll know exactly where to work on. But this is just like a little taste tester. Okay, so the diagnostic, and then I just have to come here because it's going to be interactive on the screen. All right, so the 4 elements, the first category is the one, truly, like this is the one that separates learning and development leaders from learning and development practitioners. Okay, it is where the business is either going to see you as strategic or it doesn't. Okay, so there are 4 elements sitting within the strategic bucket. And at the highest level, you do not just know the business strategy, but you shape the capability tied to it, right? Like you are literally leading that piece of the puzzle. Okay. When a manager needs training on X, your first move is not to build it, is to push back and have conversations, right? You create this living, breathing capability ecosystem created with leaders. They get it, right? It's how people are hired and developed and promoted and all of that stuff. Okay. And your technology decisions are not swayed by fancy vendor demos, but is actually driven by data. So that is what the strategy piece covers. The question I have for you is, when it comes to your organization's business strategy, where are you operating? I do have it. Here. Okay, and you can put it in the chat if you aren't able to use the screen, but you should see the poll coming up on your screen. But if not, that's also fine. Okay, well, some people definitely see it. I see a few votes coming in, or 1 vote coming in. All right. I want to see this. Okay. And what's important here is that it's not what you should be doing, because then I know all of you will answer 5. Like, you should be, creating this capability plan tied with the business strategy and all of that. But some of us are just stuck. We're just stuck in that reactive mode, or maybe aware. Some of us will be aligned. All right. Yes. So I see a few people in reactive. Yeah. Totally normal. Some people in aligned. Yep. So that's great. So I know the strategy in detail and speak business language. Yeah, but I'm brought in to execute and not to shape. Yes. These results are very, very in line with what I've been seeing and all the conversations I've been having. Okay. It's very awkward to do this. Oh, gosh. Excuse me. There There we go. I'm going to end the poll. Okay, so that is the one element that is tied to aligning learning and development with the business strategy. And that is what the business leaders are expecting of us. All right. Next. They're expecting it, but sometimes, yeah, the environment doesn't help. Okay. Category 2 is the tactics. So this is how work gets made. And what we're looking for here is that every piece of work follows one consistent methodology, right? We investigate the real problem, we engineer the solution that fits the problem, and the solution could be anything from, a 3-month training program to a one-pager printout. We implement with real adoption support and not just delivery. And then we optimize based on performance data, not smile sheets. So your content is not just a slide deck with information, but it is designed behavior change. Okay. And the majority of your design effort actually lives outside of any formal learning event. Okay. So I'm going to launch the next one. The question is, when a leader comes to you and says, we need training on X, what happens? Did I just launch the same poll? Maybe. I can't see. All right. So if this is up, or you can just pop in the chat if it's not. So yeah, is the request just a brief? So what was asked becomes what you build, or content first? So we start with the content. Or is there some methodology, but it's inconsistently applied? That's 3. Or methodical across the team. Every project follows a consistent process. Or 5, the customer is the starting point. And by customer, I mean the people that are going to go through your learning, right? So those are our customers. All right. Okay. All right, I might stop sharing the poll. Okay, so put in the chat what you saw, what you have found. Okay, all right, I've got you. Great, never mind, I can see it. So the request is the brief, yep, that makes total sense. There is some inconsistent methodology, and then there are some people with that have methods used across. So that's great. But no one yet sitting at a 5 where the customer is the starting point, right? Like, what do they need? And that is always a little bit surprising to me, because, that should be where we start, but it often is not where we start. And I totally do see that across the board. Okay. Now, the last one, right? And I just gave a simple example here for this one, for the team. But just know that the live diagnostic, it's very cool. And you can go, so there's a lot more questions per element. So if you saw on the infinity loop, there are 7 elements and there are questions per 7 elements, so not per these 3 categories. Okay, the last category, the most important, is the learning and development team. So everything you've just rated yourself on depends on one thing, which is the capability of you. So the simple question here is the language your team speaks. Okay, so rate yourself a 1 if it is learning and development language entirely, right? You speak learning objectives, modules, completion rates, gamification, neuroscience, all of that stuff. So if that is involved in your language, you got to rate yourself a 1 or a 2. Okay. Then number 2 is learning and development with business words sprinkled in so that you translate, but it's still very much about courses, and you say words like curriculum and things like that. Number 3 is you're bilingual but L&D is still your first language. So, some of the team will speak business, but most don't yet, and you can be talking about yourself or the business. I'm sorry, yourself or your team. And I can just launch this. All right. Number 4 is business language is the default. Okay, so your team speaks in terms of revenue and retention and margin and risk fluency, all of that kind of stuff. Or 5, the business actually forgets your learning and development. So leaders bring you problems because they see you as business operations first. You just happen to solve the business problem through capability building. All right, let's see where you are. All right, so let's see. So yes, bilingual, that makes sense. Okay. Okay, yeah, more bilingual. All right, awesome. Okay, I'm going to need to just move down. I can't move down. Okay, so business language. Okay, awesome. I need to stop the poll. Sorry, guys. This is something I will learn for next time. We cannot have the polls here. Okay. All right. So that was section 2, right? And now we're moving into section 3. Okay. In the chat, can you put if you can still see the poll or not? The poll should have disappeared. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Section 3 is all about the shift, right? What do we actually need to do? Because if you know me, definitely recognize some names on here. I'm very practical. I don't like to just talk about what we should be doing, but rather how. Okay. So this is the shift we need to make. Let me move here. Okay. So reflect on your scores. Those numbers will tell you a story. So most of you were landing between like 2 and 3. There's a sprinkle of 4s. And that is honestly predictable result of the industry that trained us to deliver and not to lead, right? Nobody handed you the full operating system. So here's what I want you to sit with. The world needs learning and development to lead. Most L&D functions are not yet operating at that level. And not because you aren't talented and not because your work is not valuable, but because of the gap between what we deliver and what the business expected was never closed. And in this world, it's getting harder and harder to close that gap. And you already know what the definition of insanity is, right? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And here's the part like nobody's actually saying out loud, but I will. So nobody is coming to fix this for you. There is no CEO that's going to wake up one morning, walk past your desk, and suddenly discover that learning and development has been under leveraged this whole time, right? There's no boss that's going to build your business case for you. They're busy, right? And it's not their job, it's yours. So there's no new certification that's going to promote you. And I'll say that again, no certification. There's nothing. ATD, SHRM, CRPD, whatever it is not going to put you in that strategy meeting. Because all of you have certification, most of you, right? Learning and development are the field as a whole is very credentialed. So, and there's also no amount of free content that's going to close the gap, right? If free content was enough, we wouldn't be here. So there's this fork in the road. And here's where you are right now, right? Path one, you close this tab, you jump off this webinar, and you think, wow, yeah, that was that was real. But then you've done nothing, and 12 months from now, we're going to be in the exact same spot. And path two, something actually changes. And why I got this to be a little bit of a scary scene is for a reason. Because this is not a motivational change, right? It's not just mindset. It's an actual structural change. It's a change in our operating system, right? And how you're running your career and the function. And the change is hard. So that is why this picture, I got my designer, I was like, you've got to kind of make it like a volcano thing. So that's what the thing I'm trying to get across, right? Because if you know me, I don't lie and I don't sugarcoat things. I am not about to stand here and tell you this is going to be give me 3 hours of your time and we're going to change the world. It's just not how it works, right? But path two is also where something fundamentally changes. And then we will see the light. So getting there might be a little treacherous, but on the other side is absolutely the view that we were meant to be on. So those are the only two paths, and you've just got to pick one, right? Like there isn't a third one where things quietly go away on their own. And all the conversations I'm having, that might be the silent wish of maybe this will just go away and I'll be fine. All right. And now the thriving teams. So the learning and development functions that are thriving right now are actually the ones being asked to do more and not less. So I see this every day. As I say, I work with many clients. They are growing, they are building, they are expanding their teams, right? And these teams, they didn't start at a 5 either, right? They all started at a 2, at a 3, without exception. There's no one that walks into a learning and development function in an organization at a 5. I haven't yet seen it unless you take very deliberate action. But they did make a decision to close the gap, right? That's why they were working with me. That's why they brought me in. Okay. And they had the right operating system behind them when they did. Okay. And one of the most common questions I get asked, which is yeah, really where I can stand firm in this. So the question I hear most often is, Candice, like, man, this all sounds so great. Thank you for sharing this. But how do I close this gap inside my real organization with my real constraints without reinventing everything myself? Right. And truly, that question is exactly why I built the Talent Development Academy, because nothing else there closes this gap. And believe me, I have spent tens of thousands of my own money trying to find that, but it did not exist. And so I built it. So, what you need to know, before I even tell you what the Talent Development Academy even is, I'm going to tell you what it is not, right? It is not a course built in 1972, or not even a course built using frameworks from 1948 for a world that doesn't exist anymore, right? Like we have moved beyond fax machines and hard drives. It is not a textbook the size of the yellow pages, and it is not a buffet of 400 modules where you just pick what works for you. And it is absolutely not one-way webinars. What the Talent Development Academy absolutely is a transformational experience. There is nothing random in this program. Every moment is intentional. It is a living, breathing operating system. We run a 10-week cohort journey, which includes live coaching from me and other experts, real conversations, real experts, and real feedback. You will walk out of those 10 weeks actually having achieved something, right? If you want to do a business strategy, if you want to redo your onboarding, introduce mentorship, whatever project that you have to work on in these 10 weeks, you get to work on that within this new operating system. And it is built by someone doing the work. That is me. I do this work with very complicated businesses every day of my life. Okay, so if you're asking, how do I close this gap? Because I know I work with these teams every single day. And here's what my members say, right? I don't need to talk about this myself. This person here, she built a 5-year plan to get a department there, and she presented it to the group, and we gave her feedback, and she presented it to her VP. Right? Another member, she said, this could double and it would still be so worth it. Another person, I had my boss say I'm the best she's ever seen. And she says that that is due to the Talent Development Academy. And last, that the program is filling a gaping gap in the market. Either you have entry level stuff or you pay tens of thousands of dollars for a doctorate. So that was quite a funny thing. That was quite a funny one. All right. And then this is for you. If your scores landed in that 2 to 3 categories, in that 2 to 3 range. If you are so done trying to build this on your own and you just actually need some help now, right? You want to peer okay. You have read all the books, you've done certifications, you probably have many letters behind your name, you've attended all the webinars, and you're still defending your existence. If you want an operating system that works for today's world and not just another certification, or you want a peer community of learning and development leaders who truly get this and are there to support you. I cannot emphasize enough the quality of community that we are building. And this is not for you if you're looking for passive content to click through, if you want to be told you're doing great and change nothing, you're comfortable exactly where you are, or you're more of the tried and true. This might trigger some people if you are, because this is really moving forward, right? I have thrown the baby out with the bathwater, and I have created this to work in today's environment in the real world. All right. And this is not an open door, right? Like you might be sitting here thinking, oh, great, now she's going to sell me something. You know what? I'm not. I am, and I say it in my notes, I'm like, I am not here to steal anyone's money, right? I am here to significantly impact your career in learning and development. And why? Because I truly care, right? Follow me on LinkedIn. You will know in a matter of seconds that I truly, from the bottom of my heart, care. So this is an invitation, and you already know if this is your room and if this is the right next step. So all you need to do is a decision to bet on yourself. Okay, so I'm going to click a link, which is not to buy the course, it's to apply for a call, for a fit call. So let me explain what that means. Give me a second. There we go. All right. So, oh, it's going to disappear in a second. Click that link and just apply. Just apply for it. I'm just going to take the timer away. Give me a second. All right. New timer so that you have plenty time to click the link. Okay. So click the link. It'll take you to a form, because the gap you saw today is probably one you cannot unsee, right? And the next step is to do something about it, right? And I want you to do this not because I convinced you, but because you decided that this next year you're done trying to close it alone. Okay. So grab that link and apply. And I recommend applying, right? I'm not going to take your credit card number. I'm not going to ask you for a deposit just to apply. Just apply, because this room will fill up. I open up 25 spots and I've already given away 3, or 3 have been taken, should I say. 3 have been sold before I've even officially launched. I'm only launching this tomorrow. I haven't even launched this. So you here are getting first dibs into this. So I recommend apply, because if it's not right for you, I do have a network and I'm able to point you in the right direction, right? And honestly, whether you have no budget and there's free stuff, I've got a lot of free material. We have low level stuff as well, like low cost and all the way to high cost. So you can decide, right? So I encourage you to apply. Okay. And I'll put the link one more time and you can, yeah, apply for this call. You'll go in, there'll be, I think there are 8 questions, nothing disqualifies you, and then I will know how to help you. And that is truly my goal. Okay. I can point you, I run webinars every month. I know other people who do. I have colleagues who run, like $99 stuff. I've got all of the ecosystem that I'm building around me so that I am able to properly help learning and development move forward. So if the Talent Development Academy is not the right fit for you, that's totally fine. Apply anyway and see how else I can help you, because I promise you it'll be worth it. All right, and that is it. I'm going to open up for Q&As. Let me go into the chat and see if anyone has some questions. Okay. All right. Oh, that's wonderful. Hello, Shireen. Oh, yes. So Shireen was in the Talent Development Academy. Oh, and yeah, just it's been so awesome seeing you grow. And thank you for saying that, because yes, I really am invested. Like I say, I'm not there to steal anybody's money. I really can't. I really want to see this function succeed. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, because I know how important you are and I know how important the work you do is. So yeah, that wasn't a question, but thank you so much for saying that. That was lovely. Lovely to see that. All right. So don't know if any of you have put a Q&A. Okay. I retired, my role disappeared. Who knows? What do they plan? To know. If you retired and no one was there to replace you, yeah, it's you know, and that feels a little bit heartbreaking as well, I'm sure, for you, because you've built up so much stuff, right? Like you didn't leave with nothing built. You built that foundation for years. And so yeah, I'm hoping that they are bringing in someone or having some sort of plan, but yeah, that's a tough one. All right. Anything else in the chat? Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It really is so practical. And, I want everyone here to know I mean, my 20 years, but also building up 7 learning and development functions. I've worked across 14 industries now. So I know that this works. I know, like, people keep me, my clients keep me for 3+ years, right? Like, so I'm adding value. Actually, at the one client, which was horrible, but internal HR people lost their role and I'm the consultant and I didn't. So I know I'm adding a tremendous amount of value, and I use the Talent Development Academy. I use that stuff every single day. So it's definitely not something that I put into theory and hope worked. No, I use the templates and the approaches every single day. So yes, very practical, and made for the real world. And that's also another thing I really want to emphasize, is that we've moved on. Like, the world has moved on from so many of the frameworks and methodologies that we have been relying on. And again, I threw the baby out with the bathwater, and you can come after me with virtual bananas. That's fine. I did it because we need to support people, businesses, in the way that they are demanding us to. All right. Any other questions? I've got a few, like 5 more minutes. I can stay till the top of the hour. I see some people still online, so please do just let me know if you have any questions. I'll go up to the Q&A. Okay, no more questions. And the chat, yeah, nothing else. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. This was a wonderful hour. I hope you got some value. I will follow up with every single person who attended live with the live diagnostic, and you can see truly where you sit on this. So, yeah, watch out for the email tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.